Don't make the same mistakes.
Get that stuff out of here. It's Southwest Bias.
Welcome into another edition of Southwest Bias, brought to you by our friends at the Husband and Wife Law Team. If you've got a serious injury, call the Husband and Wife Law Team first at 602-783-8841 or visit their link in our show notes and tell them PHNX sent you. And we are live from Studio K, brought to you by our friends at Circle K. Sign up for their Inner Circle membership by downloading that Circle K app. Become a member for free and start saving on gas today, because we all could use a little bit of savings there. Occam's razor. I took a few philosophy classes in college. I'm not going to say I'm Socrates or Aristotle or anything, but, you know, I listened in class, and I remember Occam's razor from the 14th century friar that had this theory that to strip out complexities, the most simple answer is usually the correct one when you're dealing with hypothesis, when you're looking at things that you don't know if it's going to happen or when. Occam's razor should apply to the Arizona Cardinals and the draft that's coming up in a little under 2 weeks. We are hearing Arvell Reese is the favorite right now, and that's who they're looking at. And maybe, look, he's not the answer. He's just not. He's a guy that hasn't been rushing the passer in his college career. Do you really need somebody learning on the job? I don't want that. This is the number 3 pick. And yes, I know it's a watered down draft. Yes, I know that you would have rather have had the 3rd pick next year. I know that you want to tackle, but Francis Mauigoa is now a potential red flag health-wise because of his back. People saying he's more of a guard than a tackle. That's a reach. You can't swing and miss. And Arvell Reese is a guy that, do you really believe you have the right staff to help a guy develop in the way that you're going to need to develop Arvell Reese? And do you have the time to do that? Do you really have 2 or 3 years to wait for this kid to wind up being somebody that's going to have an impact, a real true impact on your football team? I don't think you do. And our guy Johnny Venerable over at PHNX Cardinals tweeted this from their account this morning, saying Ohio State's Arvell Reese would mark the 4th first-round hybrid linebacker drafted by the Arizona Cardinals in 11 years. Buckle up, put your Pampers on, because you might crap yourself when you hear this list. 2014, Deion Buchanan, 27th overall. 2020, Isaiah Simmons, 8th overall. 2021, Zaven Collins, 16th overall. I mean, look, do you really want to go down that route again? Is that really what you can do with a team that needs some juice? A team that needs to make their fans want to go out there and go to the stadium, watch you play? I don't see how Arvell Reese can make that happen for you. I don't see how you can bet on that when I don't believe you have the internal systems to build up a guy that is just learning on the job for the position that you need him to play, for the quality that you need from that 3rd pick. It's not there. Mauigoa is a big question mark for multiple reasons. And if he's not a tackle and he's a guard, that's not what's really going to help you. We got to talk about the love affair in the NFL that could happen. No, I'm not talking about Rossini and Vrabel. Get your minds out of the gutter. It's the Cardinals and Jeremiyah Love. There's rumors that there's somebody in the building that is pushing hard for Jeremiyah Love to be the draft pick. Now, despite Bo trying to convince everybody it's Johnny that's sneaking in to the building every day and pounding that table, it ain't me either. What if it is actually Michael Bidwill? Pure speculation. But again, Occam's razor. There's one dissenting voice, and and somehow that's gotten out. There's got to be somebody with at least some pull for that to happen. It's not some third-rate scout that covers the Midwest for you that's sitting there going, well, the analytics. It's not that. It's got to be somebody with some pull. Michael Bidwell, Michael Fleur, I don't know, but somebody with some pull that wants Jeremiyah Love. He's the biggest sure thing in this draft. And I get it. It's not a premium position. But guess what? Every position on the Cardinals roster could be better. Every position on the Cardinals roster could use an upgrade outside of tight end. You can't upgrade beyond Trey McBride. But when you have the most losses in franchise history, everything's on the table. And Jeremiyah Love throughout this entire process has been the guy that everybody says, you know what, he's the closest to a sure thing. He's unbelievably talented. He's great. But you don't take him because he's a running back? This draft could be full of just guys that flame out. This is a high risk, potentially no reward kind of draft. And if Jeremiyah Love's the guy that everybody goes, you know what, he's probably the closest to a lock to be a Pro Bowler. I mean, hell, even people have questions about Mendoza at 1. If you were sitting there and that's the guy that everybody thinks is a sure thing, Occam's razor, simplest thing is the right answer. Don't fall in love with what potentially Arvell Reese could be if 6 things fall in place, and your coaching staff who struggled to coach defenses last year. And I know there's new guys there, but Nick Rawls is still the head of the snake. You want to hand him a guy and hope he becomes a potential weapon, or do you want to hand Mike LaFleur, a guy that has been part of genius offenses, a weapon that could truly excite, a guy in the backfield that could help dominate, a guy that could turn that offense into some high-octane moments, a guy that if you actually do draft Ty Simpson, either trading back up or at 34, now you give him another weapon whenever he becomes quarterback. And it'll happen sooner rather than later if you draft him, because I'm sorry, Jacoby Brissett and Gardner Minshew ain't going to be lighting it up. I think we can assume that. We've seen the track record. This, to me, makes the most sense. It's the simplest answer to the entire equation. Why reach? Why try to squint and see that bottom line on the eye chart and hope you get it right when you can see the entire second line? Don't lie to yourself. Jeremiyah Love is a guy that will move tickets, will sell jerseys, will have an impact on the field. By every account, is a great human being, like Larry Fitzgerald type of human being. Don't you want that as a culture setter too? Because let's be honest, Mike LaFleur has to set a culture here. The culture is trip over yourself, step on the rake, smack you in the face. That's the Cardinals culture right now. And Mike LaFleur is trying to set a new culture. So bringing in high character guys that are going to be quality players. I'm not saying Arvell Reese isn't a quality guy, but I'm just saying if you got one that's also a surefire thing in the backfield, take the swing. Take the swing. Mr. Cardinal 1969, one of the bias in the chat saying Espo been talking to Johnny, sounds the same. No. I was the one that sparked the idea in Johnny's mind. Maybe. But I mean, come on. Are we really gonna sit here and look at that list? Can we put that list up that PHNX Cardinals tweeted again? Let's look at this. These are the guys that are similar to Arvell Reese, hybrid linebackers drafted by the Cardinals in the last 11 years. Deion Buchanan, Isaiah Simmons, Zaven Collins. Do we really want to take that chance again? Something similar to that with a staff that I'm not convinced is set up to help a young guy on the defensive side actually blossom into what his potential suggests? Jeremiyah Love is the house that you can buy that's already done, that you don't need to redo anything. You just bring in your furniture, you put it there, you put up some drapes you like, bam, you're ready to go. Arvell Reese is the one that you look at and you go, It's a little bit of a project, but we do this, we do that, and then we do that. You know what? It's going to be a hell of a place to live. Until it isn't. Go with the simple answer. Jeremiyah Love is the simple yet smart answer. Don't overthink the pick at 3 in a draft that is full of people that are going to reach on guys. I look at it, and are we really going to not draft the top guy in the draft because you re-signed James Conner, you signed Tyler Algier, and you got Trey Benson? Buy Trey if you have to, if that's really your concern. Or carry 4 running backs because you saw how fast guys got hurt last year, and you might need multiple. Okay. Eric says, take David Bailey at 3 if available or trade down. Everybody says he's going to the Jets, so not going to be there. And a trade down, look, I said it the other day. If 12 and 20 from the Cowboys are there with something else, take it in a heartbeat. Trade down in a heartbeat if somebody offers it. But I don't know that that's actually going to be the case. I don't think that somebody's going to make you the sweetheart offer to save your ass if David Bailey isn't on the board. And at that point, do you really want to do that? I don't know. You're sitting there at 3. You're likely going to be stuck at 3. Bailey's likely going 2. Jeremiyah Love is the answer there. You're giving your offensive-minded head coach a weapon, one that does not need to learn on the job as significantly as Arvell Reese is. I don't care if Arvell Reese went to Ohio State and Missionary Monty is just infatuated with Ohio State. Just because your road uniforms look like Ohio State's uniforms does not mean you have to take a Buckeye every draft. It's not required. Let somebody else take Arvell Reese. I mean, if you went to the Titans with their group there, Robert Saleh as coach, yeah, sure, maybe you could turn him into something and do it on the quick. It ain't happening here in Arizona. Take Jeremiyah Love, make the simple answer, because Occam's razor tells us the simple answer is usually the right one, and don't overthink it. But maybe that's just my Southwest bias. We welcome in the dreads behind the desk. It's Kevo. Kevo, how are you, my friend?
Hello, Espo. I'm good. I'm a little tired today, but I'm good.
Did you take any philosophy classes down at the U?
I think I did take I took a psychology class, but no philosophy class.
I was a classics minor, and I took some psychology as well, and I just think the simple answer is the right one. The Occam's razor thing has always fascinated me. Too many people sit there and overthink problems, and if the simple answer is there, just go for the simple answer. I mean, when you look at it, Kevo, Jeremiyah Love, does he seem like the simplest answer to you?
I'm just not a huge fan of taking running backs that high.
But even in a draft where there's nothing else that stands out, why would you be afraid of it?
Espo, I'm a trenches guy. I am in case of emergency, draft alignment on either side of the ball, because those are the guys that I think raise the floor of your team the highest. You know what I mean? I think Jeremiyah Love is an awesome ceiling raiser, but the Cardinals don't have a floor in the house. So yeah,
I don't trust what's there. But you know what? I'm not an NFL draft expert. I'm not.
Neither am I.
I mean, well, you're more of an expert at everything. You're like a Swiss Army knife, Kev. We know that. I'm more of a guy that just likes to shout in the mic at 11 a.m. in the morning type guy. That's why after halftime, we'll get to our friend ALLCITY's head draft analyst, Fran Duffy, will be joining us, and he's going to give us insight where it isn't just some rando yelling at you. You love me. I know you all do. But Kevin, one other thing. I saw Alyssa Thomas re-signing with the Mercury. I know she's on your shirt there. Big deal, right? Big deal?
Massive deal. You maintain the engine of last year's finals roster. You did lose Satu Sabali to the abyss. to the ether.
Is that one of the Is that one of the
the Alabama Abyss is what I've heard.
Oh, they're one of the expansion teams.
Yeah,
all right,
yeah. The Toronto Tempo and the Alabama Abyss.
Okay.
But no, I think that is huge. And I think it's also massive because this is the Mercury franchise that is just getting off of Diana Taurasi's epic, storied career. You do want someone to kind of carry that torch in a way. And I think Alyssa Thomas can kind of be that backbone for your franchise the same way that DT was. Obviously, I'm not saying that they're the same level of legacy, but you get my point.
Yeah, just a centerpiece there. It'd
Yes.
be interesting to see what they do in the rest of free agency. I'm sure they'll get some big names. And also congratulations to Diana Taurasi for going to the Arizona Sports Hall of Fame last night. A big hello to all the bias in the chat. Mr. Cardinal, hello. The Gray, Mr. Boogie, everybody that's in here today. Anime and Hoops. Big shout out to Anime and Hoops, who I think skipped work to catch the show today. Don't tell your boss, and if they watch, that's not the same person you think it is. Hit that like button if you haven't. If you've already done that, hit that subscribe button. If you've done that, pat yourself on the back because you are one hell of a human being. And then consider hitting that join button to become a member of the Supporters Club. You're going to unlock exclusive emojis, exclusive content, a free super chat every month. So if you've already done that, you know what? You're just my favorite person. Thank you and you included Mr. Cardinal 1969. I see you there that you've done it. All right, do that now. We're going to head to halftime, and after the break, we're going to talk with Fran Duffy about the Cardinals draft. But with PHNX, we want your opinion. Have you ever wanted to give like Monty Ossenfort and the Cardinals, or Brian Gregory and the Suns, or Mike Hazen and the Diamondbacks your thoughts on what they're doing? Well, you're not going to be able to do that. I mean, you could scream into the void of the internet, but with PHNX, we want your opinions because we are looking for you to tell us what's going on. And if you do that, you take our PHNX survey, you're going to have a chance to win a $100 gift card by taking this short 3-minute survey. It is that easy. We're just going to ask you a handful of questions about the shows you love. Well, we hope you love them. And we want to hear about it. You're going to be able to head to gophnx.com/survey today to sign up. If you're watching us, you can scan that QR code as well that's on the screen. And that $100 gift card could be yours. So take the survey today by scanning the QR code or going to gophnx.com/survey. That's gophnx.com/survey. And Gila River Resorts and Casinos. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos, and you can do Vegas too, because you don't have to travel 5 hours by car or 45 minutes by plane and deal with security and all that. No, you just have to go to one of the 4 Valley locations of Gila River Resorts and Casinos, and you're going to get the full Vegas experience. It's their Vegas residency, and you're going to get exclusive concerts, extended DJ sets, showgirls, chef-driven dining, pop-up bars, surprise cameos, and no, I'm not just talking about me and the Suns guys out there Sunday, like real surprise cameos. Plus, you're not going to want to miss that fabulous Corvette giveaway. They're giving away 4 Corvettes. That's 4. Count them at their 4 Valley locations. You can sign up and you can drive away a winner. So you bring they bring Vegas. Only at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playathgila.com for their full calendar of events. What a weird halftime performance. Weird Al Yankovic and Miss Rachel. Really weird performance for halftime. Glad you all stuck around for it. I want to remind you, if you want to become a member of our Discord, you can do that by going to gophnx.com and signing up to be a diehard. It is the best place to talk Arizona sports with like-minded fans and get exclusive chats with people like our next guest, the one and only Fran Duffy, who is our ALLCITY NFL draft guru. Fran, how are you?
Espo, what's happening, man? How are you?
I'm good. I'm getting antsy when it comes to next week's draft. In pure Cardinals fashion, there's too many options and not enough all at the same time for this team. I was looking at your mock draft over on gophnx.com that you just dropped. You and a lot of people are circling Arvell Reese as the name, the hybrid linebacker from Ohio State. What do you see in him that suggests that he should be the pick at 3?
Well, I didn't feel great about it, and if I were Monty Ossenfort and if I were the Cardinals, I would be wary as well. It is a big swing to take, and it's a swing we've seen this organization take numerous times over the last decade plus, so in different regimes, right? But I think when you're looking at Arvell Reese, the ceiling is very high. The projection is also troublesome because you're asking him to, if you are taking him at number 3, you are taking him with the idea that he is going to be primarily a pass rusher, which he has never done before in his career. He has been a versatile off-ball linebacker used all over the place. And the way I kind of encapsulate that, in talking with people is that, hey, I wanted to, after the season, I just wanted to sit back and just watch all of his reps where he was lined up on the defensive line over the offensive tackle. Let me just watch all of those plays, because if you just watch full games, you're going to see him bounce around all the formation and you can kind of get lost in the wash. So I said, let me just watch all the plays where he's an edge rusher just to see the usage. Well, you would think, all right, well, if I'm going to watch all the plays where he's lined up on the line over the tackle, then it's going to be a bunch of rushes. But instead, what you saw, oh, well, in this play, he's actually man-to-man on the running back. Oh, in this play, he's actually dropping and he's going to be a quarterback spy and contain player. Oh, in this play, he's actually dropping in zone coverage. And on this play, he's actually looping inside on a stunt. Oh, here we go. We finally got one where he's lined up against the tackle and he can rush. It was so far down the pecking order that, again, I'm just looking at him like there is such a small sample where you can say that this is what you're going to ask him to do if you're going to be a full-time edge rusher. Now, he's got the traits to do it. He's got the requisite size, phenomenal athlete. You love the toughness. You love the ability to close and finish and all that. There's a really, really good skill set there to develop. Now, I wouldn't say that he's quite Micah Parsons, because Micah was just a bigger physical specimen. He was just a freakier athlete because of his size. He's 250 pounds, north of 250. He's a little bit taller, whereas Arvell just a little bit smaller. So not quite the specimen that Micah is, but it's a similar type of projection, right? And so I think at the end of the day, it is a big swing if you're Monty. And if I'm looking at it, I say, in an ideal world, we didn't really address the offense last year at all in the offseason. We left that unit alone, and we put so many assets into the defense, and we just hired an offensive coach. We need that side of the ball to really get upstarted. We need to get some offensive linemen in here. Elijah Wilkinson can't be my answer at right tackle going into 2026. So ideally, it's Spencer Fano or it's Francis Maui-Noah. It's one of these guys at offensive tackle to allow your future quarterback down the road to be able to feel comfortable. And you feel good that that's kind of your building block. So do you pass on Arvell Reese? Do you see if you can get somebody to trade up for Arvell Reese? Or do you say, look, I'm in the business, I need to collect great talent, but also if that talent is going to take time to be fully realized, do I have that luxury, right? Because my job is probably on the line. So it's a complicated answer for Monty Ossenfort. I feel for him in that respect, but to me, it is always incumbent upon you as the general manager to do what's right for the organization. So that would be my guess as to how they're going to approach it, but it's going to be it's a difficult task.
Yeah, I think a lot of fans here are concerned that it's Isaiah Simmons all over again. It's that kind of, take a swing on a guy. It's like, hey, I found this house. It's got good bones, but then I'm going to hire a 19-year-old contractor to try to make it look good. I don't trust the Cardinals in terms of their defensive structure, their culture, all these things to bring a guy like that in that's raw and actually make it work soon enough. Is there anything that you see to believe that this kid has enough where they can mold that and do it in quick order?
Yeah, I actually think that's one of the unique things about Arvell Reese that kind of gets lost is that if this was 10 years ago, I think that there would be fewer defenses in the NFL, fewer coaches, fewer teams that would be able to really utilize that skill set. I actually think that there are a lot of defensive schemes that you could use a player like this. The problem is using a player like this and then taking a player like this in the top 3. That does not, that value is not equal to each other, right? And so to me, I look at it, it's not necessarily the versatility alone is not what gets him drafted number 3 overall. It's the pass rush upside that gets him drafted number 3 overall. Now, I do think that if you were to say, hey, I'm going to drop him into to Nick Rallis's defense, I actually think that with some of the things they've done over the last few years with Nick Rallis's defensive coordinator, I think it would fit really well. It'd be really fun. I think that he would be able to do a lot of cool things with him. But doing cool things with him, like I can find that somewhere else, right? I'm only drafting a guy at number 3 if I think he is going to be a dynamite pass rusher, right? So like if it's David Bailey versus Francis Mauigoa, like I still would lean towards the tackle because of the reasons I laid out earlier. But with Bailey, and this is why the narrative has kind of shifted, where now it's like the Jets are seeing the same thing. It's like I don't have to dream with David Bailey, right? And even going back to like Hassan Reddick, the thing with Hassan Reddick, it was kind of just like overthought after the fact. We saw Hassan Reddick at Temple. He was a dynamite pass rusher. His final year, he was phenomenal. But it was like, oh, he's not quite big enough, so we're going to move him off the ball. We're going to do all these different things with him and use. That's where things got lost with Reddick, right? But at least you saw that final season where, yeah, he's a rusher, and it's the same thing with Bailey. We see like this guy can be explosive off the ball. There's questions about like 3-down presence and holding up against the run. But with Reese, you're asking him to do something that he hasn't done yet. Doesn't mean he can't do it, but what was he asked to do? It's a really difficult equation to try and figure out.
I want to get to Francis Mauigoa and the tackle spot shortly, but I have to ask you, I'm a big believer and talked about it in the monologue that the simplest answer is usually the right answer. And everybody seems to believe that Jeremiyah Love is the surest thing or close to it and one of the best talents in this draft. If you're the Cardinals at 3, can you really pass up on something that might be a sure thing, even though it's not at a necessarily premium position? With how, if you're Monty, how important this draft is, one, for you, and then how important it is for Mike LaFleur to actually have talent on that offense for him to execute.
I think when you're talking about, the Arvell Reese of it all, like if it's Arvell Reese versus Jeremiyah Love, right? Like let's just say it's just that argument. I think you could get me there because there's a route where there's a path where Arvell Reese is just he's a good versatile off-ball linebacker that can get you a couple of sacks a year because of his versatility as a rusher and as a blitzer. To me, that role, it's like I said, like lots of teams can find that role and find value there. That would be equivalent to a big time running back, right? But if I'm comparing Jeremiyah Love to Francis Mauigoa, if I'm comparing it to Spencer Fano, and I'm saying like, all right, I see those 2 tackles, and I don't think they're like perennial Pro Bowlers. I think they could be, but I don't necessarily feel that that's like the most likely outcome with those guys. I do think that they are going to be really good pros for a long time, like just rock solid, like set it and forget it for 10-year type of offensive tackles. And so for me, when I look at how those players are valued in the open market, the fact is they never hit the open market. The teams that draft them and develop them, and that's the role that they land, they get paid, on the scale of like at least $17 million a year. And then I look at that and I say, all right, how many running backs are kind of in that same bucket? Right now, there are 2. When I look at offensive tackle, I mean, we're talking like 15, 20, right? And so the margin for error with Jeremiyah Love versus Francis Mauigoa does not need to be an elite offensive tackle if you take him 3 overall in this class for that to be good value. He can be the 12th offensive tackle. He could be the 7th best right tackle in football and never make an all-pro, and maybe he makes 1 or 2 Pro Bowls in his entire career, and that is worth that pick in this draft. If Jeremiyah Love is not better than Bijan Robinson and Saquon Barkley, then that's a bad pick. That's a bad value add. And so that's, to me, the big thing of the position value standpoint of things is that the margin for like that guy's got to be elite. Sonny Styles, same thing. He has got to be elite if he is worth taking in the top 5. And so that's the bet you're making if you're these general managers in that spot.
Francis Mauigoa, obviously some concern about his back, that he's going to be reevaluated with that. Also, some people suggesting that he might be a better guard than tackle in the long run. Does any of that concern you when you're looking at him at number 3?
So all the conversations I've had about Mauigoa in the back was that it was not going to be a big deal. This was, weeks ago, was that this was not going to be a big deal. Obviously, it affected the combine process back in late February, but not something that was going to hamper him long term. Now, obviously, enough teams felt that it was a little bit of an issue. Let's just have it looked at again. Let's get a little bit more imaging on it as we get closer to the draft. So what will happen now is that since we are now at that point in the process, teams will get that imaging back. all 32 teams are going to go through that, or their medical teams will go, and the medical teams will then go to the general manager, to the owner, and to the head coach and say, here's our report. And depending on their individual grade scales in that organization, it's like red light, green light, yellow light kind of deal. And he is off our board. And that's what happened with Will Johnson last year for a lot of teams, right? And then he falls to the Cardinals in the second round. That's why Jahad Campbell fell to the Eagles at the end of the first round, same kind of situation. Or it's, yeah, like, we're okay with this, green light, or, hey, we're okay with this, but not that early in the draft. If it was, if we get to round 2, then we're okay. And that's kind of the Will Johnson parallel there. So basically what'll happen is within the next week or so, that stuff will start to kind of trickle out to people, and we'll get a sense. It probably wouldn't be until we're like draft week, Francis Mauigoa is due for a slide, or like, no, like it's all systems go.
What are you hearing about Ty Simpson? I know in the mock draft, the 2-round mock draft, you have him at the Cardinals at 34. Do you like that fit? And do you think that realistically he'll be there, or is he a guy that over the last 2 weeks might rise up the board slightly?
Yeah, I think that it's a good fit schematically for what I think LaFleur is going to want to do offensively. I compared him to Brock Purdy, Ty Simpson. Now it's similar in that, talking about Arvell Reese, like it's a tough bet to make. We've seen the track record now of guys that come out with that small sample size of starts at the college level. And that's exactly what we're looking at with Ty Simpson. You get 1 year as a starter, and that year was kind of injury riddled down the stretch. You got banged up, couldn't finish the Rose Bowl, had a medical deal that he was dealing with as well in the latter half of the season. And so when you're looking at what this kid can be, to me, like, I compared him to Brock Purdy. It was obviously been a good fit in this style of system. But again, it's a tough bet to make. So that's why I do think you'll probably see him come off the board at the very earliest, like the latter stages of round 1, kind of where Jackson Dart went last year. But we really haven't heard a lot of steam with Simpson and anybody else other than the Arizona Cardinals. So now, if you are Monty Ossenfort, and if you're Mike LaFleur, you're not sitting there saying like, oh yeah, no one else is talking about him. Like, we'll just sit and wait, guys. If you feel passionate that this is our guy, this is who we want, you're probably going to make a move up to go get him. Like, and so I do think that if that's how they feel, if that's truly how they feel about him, you're probably seeing some kind of a move up into the late 20s, into that range to try and secure his services.
He is Fran Duffy. You can get his draft guide and read all of his mock drafts and great work at gophnx.com. Fran, thanks so much for your time, man.
Espo, always appreciate it. Thanks so much, and we'll talk soon.
Talk soon. Oh, always appreciate Fran Duffy's time and his insight on the draft. I'm still going to sit here and say, take Love. It's still the most logical answer when you hear all the question marks surrounding Mauigoa and Reese, but we're going to find out, and we're going to find out in a couple of weeks. A big thank you to the Dreads behind the desk, Kevo. You can follow him at Kevo Post. You can follow the show at PHNX_sports. You can follow me at Espo. And remember, the only love affair we care about is the one with the draft. Ahoy, hoy.
We all silly like the mayor.